Lando Norris fought back at the Hungarian Grand Prix to make a vital dent in Oscar Piastri's championship lead as F1 heads into the 3-week summer break. If Oscar had won, Lando would have spent 3 weeks on a beach somewhere thinking about a 23-point deficit, but instead, he can sleep comfortably knowing it's only a 9-point gap to his teammate. On Sunday, Lando Norris managed to pull off a fantastic one-stop race, the theoretically slower strategy, to go from 5th position to a race win. His teammate Oscar Piastri didn't make it easy for him though. The young Australian driver applied incredible pressure on Lando late on in the race and almost ended both of the Grand Prix with a huge send just minutes from the checkered flag, something that definitely didn't seem to have followed McLaren's Papaya Rules. After his hard-fought win, Lando said something about Oscar Piastri that was a big shock, and today I'll check it out, as well as what McLaren have to say about Oscar's desperate late-race dive. So don't go anywhere. The Hungarian Grand Prix exposed every weakness that has held Lando Norris back over the past 2 seasons. Lando could only qualify 3rd on the grid behind his teammate and Charles Leclerc. It was the 11th time this season he's been outqualified by his teammate, with the record now being 11-6 in Oscar's favour. On Sunday, Lando had another nightmare of a first lap. After attempting to pass Piastri into Turn 1, Lando lost positions to Mercedes' George Russell and Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso, putting him on the back foot. As Charles Leclerc and Oscar disappeared down the road, Lando had to find a way past the best defender in the sport and a very determined George Russell. Norris had to switch to a one-stop tyre strategy to try to recover ground, and it paid off, even though McLaren didn't know when they made the decision whether he'd be able to make it work. "It's one of the first ones I've won in probably this manner," Norris said. "I've not won many races, so most circumstances are still new, but I think it's the first one where doing a completely alternate strategy to most, giving myself that opportunity, worked out. It's a tough strategy to do, but it worked out. That's the most important thing. And honestly, I didn't really think it was going to work for the majority of that second stint, but with every lap, I kind of gained more confidence that I was going to be closer and closer. So yeah, definitely a rewarding one." It was Norris's 5th win of the season compared to Piastri's 6. With 10 races left in the season, the two are separated by just 9 points. In normal circumstances, with 2 title rivals so closely matched, you would expect their rivalry to be heating up. Yet after Lando Norris got out of his car and had finished celebrating with his team, he turned to find Oscar Piastri grinning at him, just enjoying the incredible race the two had fought. It was a scene that F1 has never really seen before. 2 teammates, incredibly closely matched rivals, at the absolute top of the motorsport world, just reveling in the joy of the fight. This isn't Hamilton versus Rosberg. It isn't Vettel versus Webber. This isn't some publicity spin that McLaren are putting forward. Zak Brown really means it when he says his team are in it for the joy of motorsport competition, and that sentiment has infected his drivers to create a team who are truly united in racing clean, racing fair, and letting this battle play out on track. Up until now, it was something that most people probably didn't believe, but despite the on-track battle getting aggressive, the scenes after the race showed that everything McLaren has been saying about Papaya Rules is true. Before the Hungarian Grand Prix, Lando Norris said something that has never been heard from a potential F1 champion before. When teammates have been title rivals in the past, the atmosphere at the team has always become uncomfortable and often unmanageable. But at McLaren, that isn't the case, and a lot of credit has to be given to the drivers for their attitude. When asked if he needs to get under the Australian skin to secure his maiden F1 title, Norris replied, "I don't enjoy that. In 200 years, no one's going to care. We'll all be dead. I'm trying to have a good time. I still care about it, and that's why I get upset sometimes, and I get disappointed, and I get angry at myself. And I think that shows just how much I care about winning and losing. But that doesn't mean I need to take it out on Oscar. I just don't get into those kinds of things." Intra-team battles have so often become utter messes. In the last 2 decades, Alonso has left McLaren because of his battle with Hamilton. Mark Webber probably still won't talk to anyone involved with Red Bull during his time alongside Vettel. Hamilton once shared confidential data on his Twitter account when he thought the McLaren were favouring Jenson Button during their time together. Norris, on the other hand, isn't interested in living that life. Yes, Piastri is the guy I want to beat more than anyone else, he admitted. But if I don't beat him, then that's just because he's done a better job. I'll do it the way I believe is best for me, and just because one person did it a few years ago, it doesn't mean you have to do that too. I don't really care about those things. It is an incredibly healthy take from Norris, and one that he should be applauded for. He's been criticised for being mentally weak over the past year, but he's just a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, and in Hungary, he proved to everyone that he has what it takes to challenge Oscar this season. Of course, despite the two being very happy and matey off track, they came very close to another big collision on track in Hungary. Before I talk about that though, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis from this F1 season, then make sure to give the video a like and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. As the race played out on Sunday, it became increasingly clear that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri were on course to battle it out over the last few laps of the race. With it being so difficult to get an overtake done at the Hungaroring, Oscar Piastri's only opportunity to pull a move off was going to be into turn 1. On lap 69 of 70, he tried to make that move, sending a massive dive down the inside of Lando Norris that, if it had stuck, would have been an incredible move. However, he didn't make it stick. Instead, just as he was about to start turning in, he locked up, missing the rear end of Lando Norris's car by a matter of millimeters. At the very start of that straight, Oscar was told over the team radio to remember how we go racing. But that move was on the absolute brink of breaking Papaya Rules. However, McLaren boss Andrea Stella has insisted that Oscar Piastri's attempted move on Lando Norris remained within our principles. Norris admitted post-race that he had no problem with Piastri's lunge, despite the near miss, highlighting that the Australian would have regretted not attempting a move. Likewise, Stella said that Piastri didn't overstep the mark as he had done in Austria, where he narrowly avoided wiping Norris out with an identical maneuver that day. When you have two great drivers like Lando and Oscar, who race for a victory in a Formula 1 Grand Prix and race for the Drivers' Championship, it's always going to be very close, Stella told the media after the race. But that was firm racing. It was fair racing at the same time. It was definitely within our principles. We had a bit of a lock-up with Oscar, but at the same time, Lando left some space because he knew that Oscar would have been at the limit of braking. We keep being very proud of how Lando and Oscar are racing. I think this is a great way of honouring Formula 1 racing. These are the values of McLaren. It's going to be, hopefully, a matter between the two McLaren drivers. Even if we saw Ferrari today was in the competition for the victory 2/3 of the races, I think we have a very entertaining and interesting final part of the season. You have to give so much credit to McLaren for the way they allow their drivers to go racing. If there was an out-and-out leader in the Drivers' Championship, maybe things would be different. But as Stella says, they are honouring what F1 is about, and they're establishing themselves as a fantastic example to the rest of the grid for how to go racing. When the season resumes at the end of the month with the Dutch Grand Prix, it will be these two again who have to battle it out for race wins, and it sounds like Piastri is excited about it. It's going to be a tough second half of the year. It has been tough already, and the margins are very fine, so I think it's going to be great watching. What did you make of how the two drivers handled themselves in Hungary? And what do you think of Lando Norris saying he isn't going to get involved in any dark arts against his teammate? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you want to support the channel, then make sure to check out our merch store at f1reverse.com to get yourself some sweet F1 inspired gear. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.